Good afternoon, or is it still Dobry den? That's it. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm trying to learn, so I apologise. I'm an Englishman, and we're not very good at learning other languages. So do help me out. I will try my best. So I apologise for that, and I apologise for Brexit as well. Brexit was a bad idea, so I think that a lot of people got that wrong. Okay. So it's the end. It's the last one today. So I know people are getting it's a bit weary, a bit tired, but not far to go to get to the end. Can you understand my accent? Yeah, is that okay? Yeah, because I know you probably want to hear kind of a London accent, a hello, good morning, and all that kind of thing. But I don't talk like that. Okay. This talk I do here normally lasts about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. So I'm going to shrink it down as much as I possibly can. So if you do, and I know the questions are supposed to be at the end, but if there's something you don't understand or something you just want me to elaborate on, just jump in. Just ask a question. Okay, but we will do questions at the end as well. Okay, so I thought, what can we talk about? So I thought what might be interesting, because a lot of people talk about agile, it's the big topic, the big thing. But a lot of people, I talk to a lot of BAs in the UK, and they're interested in what's coming down the line, what we're going to be doing in the future, because we kind of know what we're doing now. And I've been a BA for about over 15 years now, and I've seen the role of BA change, and it won't stay as it is, it will change, and it will be something else in the future. But what will it be? Now, to be honest with you, you know that I don't know. Nobody does. But what I can do is I can tell you what I think it will be based on my experience and what my clients are asking for and the way I run my practice now and where I think they need to do things in the future. So, we're going to talk about why does an organisation need a BA practice? And I think somebody covered that earlier on today. I think it was Alana. Was it Alana? Is that right? But what are the challenges for our clients and what values can BAs add in the context of what we're doing in the future? So, this might be something you're familiar with. So, if you think of the organisation, now, sorry, how many of you actually work for an organisation where you are the BA in that IT? Yeah? We're all BAs in IT. Great. Okay. What are the rest of you doing? Are you PMs? PMs? No? Okay. So, if you think about it, your organisation, like any organisation, has to contend with all these things. There are new customer trends, competitor threats, supplier problems, changing regulations, new technologies, and then the unforeseen, things that just jump out and surprise us. Now, that's always been the case. It's never been any different to that, but what's different now is the pace of change is quickening. It's getting faster and faster. And the reason why it's getting faster is because we've got great technology, we've got the internet, and more importantly, it's these guys here, the customers, the people who buy products and services off a company. They're walking around with a mobile phone in the pocket, and they've got 24/7 information, and they can change products, they can change brands at the drop of a hat, really, really quickly. That makes it difficult for organisations to keep pace because other competitors are changing all the time. So how are organisations going to deal with this in the future? They need to be agile, don't they? The businesses that you work for need to respond quickly to change. So how are they going to do it? And what does that mean for us as BAs? I may have to skip through some of these because we haven't got much time. Okay, so now I think you saw anybody come along and see Alana's presentation today? Yes. Okay, so you probably recognise this. So as BAs, we should use data, we should use evidence. So there's some evidence about how good we are at IT projects. And when you read that, we're not very good, are we? You know, in the IT industry, about 31 projects will be cancelled before they are complete. Of the ones that do complete, over 50% of them will overrun their original estimate by 189%. So think about this. If you were buying a TV, how happy would you be if you had to buy 3 TVs before you found one that worked? Yeah? Because this is what we're like in IT. You know, we don't get it right. We only get it right one in every 3 times. Okay, which isn't very good. Imagine if you were building a big skyscraper and you had to build it 3 times before it stayed up. That wouldn't be very good, would it? Okay, so, and in all fairness, IT is quite young, it's a young industry, and we are working out how to do it correctly. And BAs play a very important part in that, okay? So, what's the root cause? Well, I think you saw this, anybody who watched Alana's presentation, the lack of user involvement, incomplete and unclear requirements and changing requirements. Why does that happen? There we go. Why does this happen? It's what? Example. Why do users keep changing their minds? Why are the requirements not clear?
I think that's because they don't know what they want exactly.
Exactly. Most of the time, they don't know what they want, do they? Because what they often do is they tell you about a solution, not the problem. So part of the problem for us as BAs is to peel all those layers back like an onion to get to the point where we understand what they need. And then we can take them through a process on a journey of discovering what they need, not what they want. Okay? There's something, a bit of a 80% of projects issues have their root cause in the analysis phase. Developers rarely get things wrong. It's not often that developers do something that breaks a project. More often than not, it's wrong requirements. It's incomplete and unclear requirements. And our job as BAs is to get complete and correct requirements. Okay? Oh, right, okay. I call this the Rumsfeld Matrix. Does anybody remember Donald Rumsfeld? The American politician? One or two, but okay. He's the guy that came out onto the White House lawn and all the press were there and they said, tell us why you can't find Osama bin Laden. And he said, well, there are things that we know, and there are things that we know that we don't know we know. Do you remember that guy? And everybody went, what's he talking about? What is this guy talking about? It's probably the only time in history a politician said something that was logically correct. Okay? Never happened since. Probably never happen again. But what he meant was this. He was really talking about things that are basically truth tables, which are this. And this really is our world as BAs. There are things that we know. So we can say that an SME, do you know what I mean by SME? Subject matter expert, yeah? We can say that an SME knows what they need and why they need it. So if I say to this lady here, she's one of my SMEs, okay, so tell me how many transactions a month this system, you want this system to, and she might go, oh, it's 400 a month. I know she knows that. It's a fact. It's going to be a requirement, isn't it? It's going to be a requirement because it's a fact. She knows that. If I think about this, known unknowns, things we know that we do not know we know. So that's to say, it's when I can ask this lady again and say, how many transactions do you think you're going to be doing every month? And she go, I don't know. So I know, as a BA, I know she doesn't know that. So that becomes, what does that become for me? What does it become? An action. It's an action, isn't it? Because I now need to find that out, or I need to ask her to find that out. Can you look into this and let's find out how many transactions we need to know. So I know that. So these things here, these are the easy things. They're either requirements that we know, or we know that we don't know something, so we have to go and find that out. That's not where the risk is in a project, and that's not where the projects go wrong. It's here, down this end. Unknown knowns. So if I look at this, a known, unknown, things we do not know, we know. We can say that an SME has a requirement, but we are not aware of what it is because we have not asked the right question. So, for example, if you're working for a company that, let's say they're heavily regulated, it's a finance company, and they're heavily regulated by regulators, and new regulations are coming out, but she's not aware of it, even if I ask the right question, this might be something that if I don't ask the right question, she's not going to tell me. And if she forgets, I'm not going to find that out. But what's going to happen later on in the project is this going to come back and bite us, isn't it? Because it should have been a requirement, and I didn't ask the right questions. Okay? And last is this one. Perhaps our regulations that you're completely unaware of, And even if I think to ask the right question, you won't know the answer. Does that make sense? Things that we don't know. Going back to Donald Rumsfeld, look him up. He's an interesting character. I wouldn't vote for him, by the way. So that's basically our world as BAs. We need a methodology. We need something that can give us a process of inquiry so that we can try and root out as many of these as possible. Because that's not the danger area, writing requirements. Asking people for user stories is not analysis. This is the analysis, okay? Okay, so what's the opportunity then? If the world's going to be changing faster and faster and our customers are going to be finding it harder to do things quickly, what are the opportunities? Well, what if we had instant access to company products and services? Oops, sorry, I'm in the way. What if we had instant access to business process models? What if we had a comprehensive model, a system of a model that had all our systems models in it as well? So in other words, what if there was a place you could go to in your organization that had everything in it that you needed? Customers, what value they have, business processes, and the systems that support them. You wouldn't be in that position of every time you start a brand new project, starting with a blank piece of paper, would you? You'd have somewhere you can go, and most of the analysis has been done already. This is what we refer to as, I'll skip ahead a little bit here because we're running out of time, an enterprise model. Has anybody come across that term, enterprise model? Yeah? Okay, for those of you not familiar with it, what it means for us as BAs is somewhere that we can store all that information that we capture when we're doing our analysis work. So today you might be working on project A, tomorrow you might be working on project B, 3 weeks later you might be working in the same organization, you're working on a project. Instead of getting all that analysis and then throwing it away when the system's built, we take that information, we turn it into models, and we put it all into one big pot, and we build up a picture of what this organization does and how it does it and who its customers are and the value that's created for those customers. This is an enterprise model, and it allows us to change the way we do analysis. It makes a big difference from being reaction, because at the moment we're quite reactionary. Yeah. Well, what happens is when you get a new piece of work, how many of you work with a project manager, or you just work in Scrum? Do you put your hand up if you work with a project manager? So about 50% of you. So what's the other half doing? Are you on Scrum teams? Yeah. Okay. So let's just skip ahead a little bit. Most BAs are working in this area. We're thinking about people and systems. We deal with people. We ask them what they want because we want to know what they want the systems to do. Okay? Now, if that was the right approach, we wouldn't have only 31% of projects landing on time and on budget with all the right features, would we? It'd be the other way around, wouldn't it? We'd have at least 70% of the projects coming in on time and on budget. And why doesn't it work? Yeah. Yeah. It's because we as BAs, we need to be working right across this full value model. We need to be understanding what our customers, what's their business process, what product and services are they delivering, and who are they delivering it to, and what value does it create. We need that full picture. And we need to capture that and put it into the enterprise model to build up this rich picture of the organization. And it's a bit like this. Let me go back to this model. What's that? It's the Ukraine. Of course it is. So, and it's really useful, isn't it? Because if we are there and we want to get to here, what? Yeah. Oh, it's difficult anyway. Okay. But imagine if you didn't have this map. How difficult would it be? What would you do if you didn't have that map and you were here in Kiev and you wanted to get down here? What would you do? Is what? Get on a train. Yeah. You'd have to ask somebody, wouldn't you? You'd have to say, which way is it? And they go, oh, it's that way. So you'd have to set off walking, and when you got so far, you'd have to ask somebody else, wouldn't you? It wouldn't be a really efficient way of doing things. So the reason why we have maps is because they contain information, don't they? And it's not the fact that they just contain information, it's complete and it's correct. And what we're doing as BAs is every time we start a brand new project, it's a blank piece of paper. We're not taking the information that we gathered from the last project and pooling it. And we never get a clear, full picture. A project might only give us that view, and then the next one might give us that view. But eventually, we will build up a full map of the organisation so we understand what it does and how it does it. Is that making sense? Yeah? So that's what we call an enterprise model. So agile. Now we've all heard that term agile, haven't we? But what we mean by agile, for what we mean as BAs, is business agility. It's not good enough to have an IT team that's really agile. It's fantastic. You give this stuff to IT and they build it really fast, but 70% of it is not the right stuff. It's not the IT team's fault. They're just building what they were told to build. What we need is a system whereby we can build the right things first time. Okay? So when we talk about agility, we want business agility. When our users, when our managers or directors of companies see a business opportunity because they've got some kind of business threat, something like that, they want to adapt quickly. They want to change quickly. And business agility is going to be the difference between what we do now, how we work now, and how we work in the future. And guess what? There's nobody in an organisation who has the skills to do this other than BAs. There's only the BAs can model the organisation and all its structure in a way that we can share that information between IT people and business users. Because we need to facilitate that information exchange. Is that making sense? Yeah? Okay. So what skills are we going to need in the future? Well, I think we're going to need things like informatics. So this is Edinburgh University's definition. Informatics is the study of structure, behaviour and interactions of natural and engineered computational systems. Right, okay, that's a bit of a mouthful, but basically what we're going to have to get good at is information, understanding information, how it's structured. This is going to be more important to people. Certainly my clients in the UK are very keen to get a lot of dashboards. They're using a lot of things like Tableau, things like that, to get information. They want things in an infographic type pictures. No more spreadsheets. We want instant images of what's our current situation now, how many contracts have we signed, how many people have left the organisation, how many people are buying this product, how many people are not buying this product, that kind of thing. And it's a constant flow of questions, one after another. We need this, we need that now, we need this now. And if we carry on working as we are as BAs, we're not going to be able to respond quickly enough. We need to start building our enterprise models, capturing all that information of processes and structures of information. We may also need to get a lot better at this thing, people management. I think you've heard a lot of people talking today about the problems of managing stakeholders. Yeah, we've heard a lot of people talking about that. Now, you might say this is a PM's job. It's not a PM's job. I think it's a BA's job. It's a PM and a BA's job, but particularly BA's, because we've got that problem, that really, really difficult problem of this young lady here has got an idea in her head that she wants to get something done in her organisation. This lady here might be head of IT, and she needs to build something for this lady here. If I'm the BA, I've got to get this idea out of her head and into her head. How do I know that they've got the same picture in their head? This is really, really difficult. That's what makes our job difficult, but it's what makes it really interesting and exciting. How are we doing for time? Oh, 3 minutes left. Okay, we're not doing too bad. So, here's where we are. I know we've had to skip through this quickly. We are not delivering IT solutions efficiently to our customers. Yeah, well, we kind of know that. You didn't need me to tell you that. The root cause, insufficient analysis of the business domain, both early and during the project of a life cycle. Solution, one solution to this, and I'm just proposing this solution because this is what I do in my practice, is a permanent enterprise model. Somewhere where we can start storing this information and recalling it. We talk about reusing code, don't we? Yeah? Developers reuse code. Why aren't we reusing process models? Why aren't we reusing data structures, data charts and things like that? We should be reusing these. Speed up the process, give the business and business agility. So the opportunity for BAs, for us, is to move from this position we are at the moment, where we are kind of reactionary, we kind of sat within IT and waiting for users to come to us to say, we need stuff, get it written down because I want some requirements so I can give it to IT to build stuff. We need to move from that position to where we actually become a real practice, a function that sits between the business and IT. So that we change the mindset of managers within organizations so they think when they have business change, when they don't undergo a business change, they come straight to the BAs because they know that the BAs have got the knowledge of their business. They know how the BAs know how their department works. They know how their business works. So it's about creating that function. Okay. And key thing, don't wait for this fella to tell you. Don't wait for somebody within your organisation to say, why don't you set up an enterprise model? I think that'd be really good. Because he's no idea what it is. Or she. They may not have no idea what it is. It's up to you. Just do it. Just start doing it. Just start collecting your information from all your previous pieces of work and build them. Build up your enterprise model. Build up your model of the entire business. Because it will serve you over and over again. Okay. Questions?
Yeah, what about questions? Sure.
I've got one question. I would like to ask you to switch back to the slide with enterprise model. Yeah, no, then the next one. The next one with the timeline. Okay, no. Yeah, previously. No, next. Yeah, this one. I would like to ask you about the line below, the skills. Do you mean that there is a list of skills that BA should have? Or that's why I'm asking if the programming is a necessary skill for BA in future.
That's a really good question. I'm not saying it definitely is, but what I'm thinking think of it in terms of this, data. Right, you've heard the term data science, data scientist. Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to be a fully fledged programmer to be a data scientist, but you need a few programming skills to be able to manipulate data. So that could be something as simple as doing a bit of a SQL lookup, something like that. So it doesn't mean to say you've got to become a Java programmer or fully object orientated, but I think a bit of programming will help in the future. Even if it's just being able to interrogate a database to pull information back, because I think our role is going to be more data-centric in the future. I think we're going to be the facilitators of knowledge. It's all about knowledge. It's about correct and complete information.
Thank you for explanation.
Okay.
Okay, more questions? Awesome.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a question. Do you think that in the future business analysts will be more domain concentrated, or do you be like a BA as a science? I mean, as a direction. So will it be like BAs in finance or BA in healthcare, or it will be like developing BAs need to develop their skills as a BAs?
That's a good question. Yeah, because I think what you see now, I don't know how things work in the Ukraine, but certainly in the UK, when you get a job as a BA, you have to go to a recruiter. You can't get a job in IT unless you go to a recruitment agency. And you see a lot of adverts at the moment, advertisements saying, oh, we need a healthcare BA, or we need a finance BA. But if you're a good BA with good skills, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's great because all that domain knowledge is fantastic. It's great to be able to be a finance, you've worked in finance for a long time or healthcare, and you can just pull on information like that. But we shouldn't rely on that. We should rely on our skills. We should rely on our process of interrogation. And it's a nice to have if you've got that kind of domain knowledge, not absolutely necessary. So I think the crucial thing is develop your skills, push yourself out of your comfort zone, and start doing things whereby you can start building an enterprise model or doing business activity modeling, things like that. Start expanding your skills so that no matter where you work, where do you work at the moment? What do you do? What's your domain?
E-commerce.
E-commerce. Okay. So have you ever worked in aviation? No. Okay. So if you develop your skills as a BA, I mean, you probably are a really good BA. So the thing is, you kind of somebody says to you, okay, tell me about being a BA. I'm interviewing you for a BA job now, and tell me about all your experience. If you just concentrate on, oh, this is what I did in e-commerce and I did that in e-commerce, people are just going to go, she knows about is e-commerce. But if you talk about being a BA, I mean, you're passionate about learning new skills and things like that, but you're also, it comes across the fact that you've got the skills to very quickly pick up that domain knowledge. Doesn't matter where you sit. I've trained a lot of BAs in my time, and I always say to them, it doesn't matter where you've come from, because I've had people come into, when they haven't never worked in finance, and they're very nervous about coming into a finance organisation. So it doesn't matter. You've got the good skills. You've got good BA skills. The domain knowledge will come because you know how to find it. Yeah?
Do you think that the same could be applied for the product owner?
The product owner, well, the product owner should be thinking about their product. That it's that product, whatever that product is, it's an e-commerce product. They need to be focused on what that's delivering for their customers. Because if you're going to be dealing with your product owner, they're going to be giving you all that kind of first-hand information. That's where all the requirements are going to come from, isn't it? So you would hope that they're an expert on that product, so they need to be focused on that product. But obviously, you need to go wider to other stakeholders if possible. I think it's quite this thing about product owner within a kind of an agile. I like Scrum, but there are things that I think are weak. And one of these things is this concept of having a product owner, because it makes people think that this is the only person who knows about the domain, and we should be considering all our stakeholders.
Any more questions? Okay, sure.
Actually, I got a question which is related to your answer and to the previous one. So how about the T-shaped competence model, which is now getting more popular as for BAs, when BAs should have a wide common knowledge in one specific domain?
So are you what's your thought on it, though?
Sorry?
What do you think?
Well, actually, I support the idea that specific knowledge is important.
Okay.
Because some areas are very, very specific, and you may not learn the domain in few months, but you need to just to start and work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, let me be absolutely clear. I'm not saying that you don't need domain knowledge to be a great BA. What I'm saying is, if you've got the skills are the most important thing. It's great having domain knowledge, because let's face it, if you go along for a new job interview and you've got all that domain knowledge, you're going to get it over the next guy who hasn't got it, aren't you? But I've hired a lot of BAs, and if I had to choose between two people who somebody had I'll give you a good example. This really did happen. The company I work for, they did call centres. They manage call centres for other companies like Marks, Spencer's, Google, Audi, people like that. And I had a guy that came, and he had fantastic experience at working within call centres. He knew lots of things about how the telephony systems worked and things like that. Fantastic. But he was a poor BA. He had none of the skills. So I recruited somebody who didn't have any of the domain knowledge but had the great skills. Because what I knew was, as soon as I switched him from that onto something else, he would fall down because he didn't have the skills. So now, if he had some of the skills and the domain knowledge, he would have got the job. Because the domain knowledge is fantastic. It's great because it gives you instant access to information that you need. But you can learn that. Skills are harder to develop. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like we don't have more questions. So thank you,
Okay.
Peter, very much.
Can I say one
yeah,
last thing?
sure.
Okay, one thing I would just urge you to do, I think on the back of here, there, Business Analysis Community, this is a website that you can go to and visit. I try to encourage all BAs to come to it, join the LinkedIn group, join us on Twitter, because the whole point of the BA community is to exchange information. So, you know, find people on there that maybe work within the same domain as you, and perhaps can mentor you on something, or maybe you can mentor somebody else, but just swap ideas. And it's just a hub for all BAs to communicate and talk to each other. Okay?